What's up, everybody? My name is Lamont, and welcome back to the God is My Source podcast, where we bridge the gap between God, money, health, family, relationships, education, fashion, because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, so everything revolves around God. I got Kaylyn Render on the line today from Detroit, Michigan.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you for taking the time to come talk to us. You feel me? This is going to be a good episode. She has a lot going on. She got a fashion brand, lifestyle brand. She a seamstress. She from the D, so you know she boss up and get this money. So we're gonna take some time, talk to God. We're going to pray right quick, and then we're going to get right into it.
Let's do it.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for bringing us together so that we can talk about your name. We ask you that you speak through us so that we can bring people closer to Christ and show us how to be effective in your kingdom. We ask you that you bring your kingdom to earth so that we can be prosperous in everything that we do and follow your law. And in Jesus' mighty name, I pray it is, so it shall be. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. What's going on? How you doing?
I've been doing real good. What about you?
Man, everything cool. I can't complain at all. It's COVID clearing up. It's about to be summer in a minute. Let's see what the world has to offer after all of this. I mean, we're going into war right now, but
right,
that's a whole nother conversation, another topic.
If you want to start it or what? Like, I was gonna say, how you feel about it? Because
it's funny though, because like I think people don't understand what's really going on. I try to shy away from talking about it because I work in the financial sector, so everything revolves around economics. You feel what I'm saying? And so one of the main reasons why they go on to war is because Russia don't agree with the agreements that have been made with a country that used to be theirs. So it's like it used to be their territory. So now they another country, well, it's like a collective of countries. So NATO is a collective of countries. They have trade agreements. So basically that they can be able to offer different things to each other. It's a whole bunch of stuff to go into, but we learned about that in high school. So they didn't buy Ukraine, but they bought Ukraine with trade agreements and stuff like that. So Russia like, nah, we not going. And matter of fact, we about to go in here and invade it. And now everybody upset because it's like then it turns into a war because they like, are y'all gonna come help them? Well, we about to bomb and stuff. And then now it get violent and now it's out of line and Putin not going and America not going. And we both got nuclear weapons and it's getting real.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a hot mess. And I thought, I didn't know a lot of backstory on, the war and stuff. I just thought Putin literally was like, oh, I see some land that I want. And they don't have any military backing and we do. So I'm gonna just go over there and take it. I'm gonna blow up some people.
That is what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. and he's enticing everybody who said they're gonna help him.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? It's like, basically what I can explain it is that say you got a little sister, right? And it's two of y'all.
Yeah.
And she always giving y'all her candy. She got Airheads every now and then. Sometimes she got Tootsie Rolls, different stuff. But the older sister always taking more candy.
Okay.
The younger sister, she like, let me get some candy. Well, I gave the candy to Sierra. Kayla like, wait, like, why you ain't never got no candy? And I'm taking care of you whenever something happened. They take care of you too, but I'm right here. And we've been working together. So what's all this about? And then one day you just come and you like, I'm taking all the candy before anybody can come. Matter of fact, you coming with me. Matter of fact, I'm about to kidnap you.
Right.
So it's like, it's out of line. Now he bullying them.
Right. Okay, quick question. So if you could predict the future, what do you think is going to happen in regards to the war in the next 6 months? What is the war going to look like? I'm interested.
Let's just pray it don't get bad. Let's just say it like that. I mean,
okay.
I seen this happening a long time ago. I thought it was going to be China. But now I mean, the media is different. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe, because sometimes they hype things up in certain sectors just to spike up prices, just to
make money. Capitalism.
it's a
Yes,
whole
let's paint a
thing.
picture. Yeah.
It's a whole
Yeah.
thing.
So we can benefit. Mhm.
But in my opinion, I think that he gonna go as far as he possibly can. And we starting to see that he getting China involved.
Mm.
We know that Russia, so you remember the Cold War, correct?
No, update me.
So the Cold War happened in like the 90s. Like they had the Persian Gulf War and all that stuff around that time too as well. But
Right.
there it was America and Russia. They both were saying they're gonna bomb each other, basically.
Okay.
But it's like a standoff. It's like a
Who's gonna go first?
stuff. Yeah, we just gonna talk stuff. So they talking stuff to each other in the media. They not trading. They giving each other like sort of like how, remember when Trump was in office and China, they was going back and forth. They was increasing the tariffs. So tariffs are basically the tax that you put on incoming goods. So at that time when Trump was in office, we are the world's number one source, with number one supplier of soybeans.
Okay.
China, the number one supplier of pork.
Mm.
But they need to supply their pork, they need the soybeans. So we their number one exporter for soybeans. So we basically, by playing that play, we put everybody in checkmate, because everybody, if we don't get them the soybean, everybody refer to pork as the cheapest form of meat. So if we don't give them the soybeans, they can't export to the rest of the countries, and therefore they don't make no money. So now Russia low-key doing the same thing with the fertilizer. They got fertilizer, a couple of different other things. That's why all the prices spiking up like this, because they holding off on trade. We saying they cutting trade off, and most of the countries, they like, we don't take nothing from Russia. Don't send nothing to Russia because they out of line, because they trying to bully this little bitty country. And it's just getting out of line.
Right. Okay.
It's getting out of line. But that's what happened in the 90s, is that we just went to a Cold War, and then they got Cuba involved. That's why Cuba got cut off from the whole world, because they got Cuba involved and said that we gonna bomb y'all from Cuba.
Okay.
You know, Cuba got direct access to us. That's like drive. If you get in a car or something, you was to drive to Cuba, you can go to Miami to Cuba in like probably 3-4 hours. So they got direct access to bomb everything. And so this happened before, and it can get out of line. I'm just praying that God just hold it off right quick, so we ain't got to play that game. But we talked about politics a little bit. We probably bored y'all a little bit, but y'all need a little bit of education. We need some education in our community, because we just be caring about stuff that sometimes don't matter, but we need to understand why things are the way they are, because the world is kind of like me and you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we got different personalities. Each country got its own personality. Each country got its own skills. Each country got its own purpose. And what happens is that that's how money circulates. We think money just happened. No, it's about value. And that's going to teach somebody who watching this now that like, they think that they just going to get to the bag. You can get to the bag, but if you ain't got no purpose behind getting to the bag, you're going to end up losing, because you're not adding no value to the world. Because when you add value, people got to pay you, because wherever you are naturally adding value, that's what you the best at doing. That's what God created you to do. And when you do what God created you to do the best, you got to get paid the most.
Yeah, but and another thing, I really want to interject and say that the world is connected. So it's like a big chain reaction when you look at it. Like, yes, you know, me being in Detroit, I've never been to China, right? So sometimes I feel like China's on another planet, but they're on the same planet. So the things that China does, it directly affects me. As you were mentioning, the tariffs, and they supply this and we supply this, we trade all types of things, right? So Ukraine's war, our people, like personally, I don't have any family or friends fighting in the war or going over there to, defend us. But I'm pretty sure it's some families in the United States really hurting right now because they have family flying over there to defend our country. So it's all connected. So we should care a little bit enough to at least talk about it, spread awareness as much as we can anyways.
And be honest with you, I mean, we probably gonna be some of them gonna be going over there in a minute, but that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Okay. Yeah.
But all right, we don't.
But yeah, but next,
we're gonna talk about the politics. God got us. You feel me? God is our source. You feel me? We just gonna let God handle everything. So let's get into your story, Kaylyn Render. What's your testimony? Like, what has God brought you out of? Woman of God, you told me all the different stuff you got going on, lifestyle brand. You about to take the world by storm. So how did you get to this point?
So I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I have a really great support system. Big shout out to my mom. I feel like moms kind of are one of the very important pillars in the Black community and of course, personally in my life. So my mom did a lot for me. Growing up in Detroit, it was super fun. We had a lot of activities. The one thing about Detroit I love is that we see highs and lows when it comes to Black culture and Black community and Black family, right? So we see those very wealthy people, richer neighborhoods. And of course, we see Black people in power, quote unquote. And then of course, we see like the not so good side and the burnt out buildings and the poor people. And of course, the people that are affected by drugs and things like that. So growing up in Detroit was amazing. That's when I tapped into my artistic capability. So I learned how to do hair first, right? Hair and nails first, did my sister's hair when I was younger, tried to cultivate that talent as much as I could. And then of course, that just spiraled into a lot of other things. So I learned how to knit, crochet. I learned how to draw in high school. I put my all in drawing. And then one day my art teacher just saw it and was like, Kaylyn, we need to put this in an art competition. So from that point on, like my gifts kind of were validated in my head and in my heart. So I used those skills of drawing in high school, of course. But then I went to college, Western Michigan University, and I studied fashion design. And that's where I learned how to sew and, create tech packs and all the technical things that goes along with fashion design. And I learned how to sew, drape, all the fun stuff, painting, and of course, use my my drawing talents in that fashion design in college. And now, after college, did a lot of applying, did a lot of interviewing, and I decided to become an entrepreneur in 2020 because of the pandemic. Of course, it shut down a lot of big businesses and a lot of companies. And I was fired in 2020 and I became an entrepreneur then. So from that point on, that point till today, it's definitely been a journey, building my brand and trying to just define the specifics of my brand. So my brand is called Kaylyn Collective. It is a lifestyle brand and we focus on 5 pillars: God, fashion, art, beauty, and community. Our sole purpose is to just help one another, right? And one of the biggest helps in my life is God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. So I definitely want to push them as much as possible because I know how much they've helped me throughout my life. And I just want to give someone else that same help and that same love and that same joy that they give me every single day. And to do that, of course, I'm creative. And God created me that way. So I have to keep it creative over here, So I push, God and Jesus and Christianity and love with art, beauty, and fashion. So I created our first collection in 2020, fall of 2020. And you could go check that out on my YouTube channel at Kaylyn Collective. We did a virtual fashion show. It was really fun. And now I launched a podcast in January called Godly Grind. It's centered and focused around godly entrepreneurs and how God helps the entrepreneur in their business and how God helps them scale their business in a sense as well, So that's what we're doing now. And that's the backstory of where I came from and where I'm at now. So it's been a ride and a journey, but it's definitely been some fun.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing because you just show how you can pivot. You feel what I'm saying? Like you say you came out of college. What year did you come out of college?
Sure. 2017.
2017. So you was fresh out. 2019 hit. You about to take off. You about to hit your career, and then boom, God made a impact on the world and changed it forever.
I'm telling you, and it's not all. It hasn't been easy though. Like, you know how people, oh, I get out of college and I get a job. You know, like when I tell you, I got out of college and I was among the top of my class. You know, I worked really hard, and God has blessed me with so many gifts and talents, and I'm so grateful for it. And of course, I apply those gifts so people see that. So I was really confident that I was going to get a job right out of college in my field. So in fashion design in corporate America, and learn all that I can so I can then create my own business. And then, of course, God has given me some vision on my business and my life and what I need to do to help others. So, of course, that was the plan, right? You know, we plan stuff out, right? I wanted a job in corporate, but I didn't get that job in corporate, right? I applied to probably hundreds of jobs. And I can remember me applying to jobs while I was in Italy. So I did do a study abroad program in Italy, and it was a great, great time, but it was my last semester in college.
You went to Milan?
No, I lived in Florence, Italy.
Okay.
Yeah, Florence. It was beautiful. It felt like a movie scene every single time I stepped out the door. Like, for real. I was like, this is great. And that's what the world, we're all connected, but we're so different. And that's the beauty. The difference is the beauty is in the difference for sure. But I was applying to jobs in Italy, of course, right? Because I'm like, okay, Kaylyn, this is your last semester. You have to have a plan. You know, I stay planning, right? Plan, right? I probably applied to 100 in Italy. And then when I graduated, I started applying more to those jobs outside of Detroit, right, in the fashion design field. Didn't get anything, and I started working odd-end jobs. Of course, those jobs that's like, oh my gosh, I worked at Forever 21. No. I worked at Victoria's Secret. I worked at David's Bridal. Was really fun though. I worked at David's Bridal, and that was after Victoria's Secret. So I worked at Victoria's Secret. Like, yeah, I'm not doing retail ever again. This is just not what God has for me. It's like
Black Friday swept you up.
It was too much. It was too much. Feet burning, folding clothes. You know, Victoria's Secret, they come in and tear everything up. The girls don't play about the panty sale. The what is it, 7 for 35? Something. I don't know. I don't remember. But yes, me cleaning up, I was like, there's no way I could do this ever again. No, sir. So I wanted to go along with in my purpose. And I wanted to learn and refine my skills and my talents that I learned back in the day. So the sewing, the painting, the drawing, and things like that. So I'm like, oh, David's Bridal, I could be a seamstress and learn some tricks of the trade. So I went there. My manager was cool, right? She was super cool. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be, God. So I learned a whole lot. And then I left there and I became a teacher. And then that's the job I was fired from. And then boom, the pandemic hit, of course. So it's been a journey, job to job. But I'm learning that the biggest thing I'm learning is that hope is important. Like, keeping hope alive. It's so cliche, but it's so easy to allow hope to die, right? My biggest thing, I was trying to protect my feelings in a sense. Like, if I don't hope for anything, my feelings can't get hurt, and then I'll be okay. But then, of course, that just added to the darkness and the depression and things I've experienced, because it's like, now I'm not excited about anything. I'm just going through the motions, right? I'm smiling because I'm supposed to. I'm laughing because I'm supposed to, you know? But now I know the importance of hope, and it definitely restores, you know, it restores like joy and happiness. And it's a really easy way to combat like depression and sadness and darkness and stuff like that. Just, you know, imagining those great things and like hoping for that abundant life God has for us, you know? So yeah.
Definitely. I think that's one of the main things that we have to like really observe and understand, like, because it's a difference between joy and happiness. You only happy for like, I think they said it's like 3 minutes. Like, anything after that 3 minutes, you forcing it. But joy is being acceptable, like basically accepting whatever happens and understand that God is going to use that situation to take you to the next level, whether it be good or bad. It's going to be in your best interest. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do feel like happiness is surface level. It's the exterior maybe of like, if you see somebody, oh, she looks happy, right? So that's like exterior. But joy, I feel like that's within, that goes a little deeper, than just the exterior and surface level. And to have joy, I feel like you have to understand, your place in purpose, and understand that everything, you can grow and learn from everything, even the worst things that happen to you. So I feel like that's a big part of joy. And then of course, just being grateful, because even if you think you're supposed to be somewhere else, but you're not because of COVID, blase, whatever, like you can find the blessing in everything. Like I constantly, day by day, of course, I thank God for the small things. Like, thank you, God, I could see, because people were born blind, like, thank you, God, I could walk. Like, thank you, God, I could talk. Like, thank you, God, I have all these gifts, that I could draw, I could sew, I could do hair, so just counting the small blessings will definitely help you, like identify that joy inside of you, because I feel like everybody has it. It's just sometimes that joy might, be stored in the closet, so yeah.
No, I'm glad you was able to come up out of that, because a lot of people, when that 2020 pandemic hit, they was like,
I know, freaking out, chaos. All the tissue was gone in the store. I'm like, y'all, not that serious. Look.
I seen the meme on social media one day. They was talking about, I think it was last year. They was like, this time last year, this is where we at. And they had people, they was doing all type of stuff. You had people in space suits, wearing all type of random clothes. They're trying to protect themselves because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was happening. I honestly thought it was fake, because I was going on my own journey. Like 2019, I had made the most money I had ever made in my life, but I just wasn't happy where I was at. I was trying to pivot into what I wanted to do. And I'm like, God, why you holding me up? Like, but I started to understand that's because I wasn't putting him first. And who said that what I was trying to do was what he wanted me to do? Is this my purpose? So I just stepped back from everything. I was like, I'm gonna get off social media. I'm gonna read the Bible from front to back. I never did it before. So when it started happening, I'm like, I'm at the gym. I'm at YMCA, and we watching it. Me and my homie, we watching it. And I'm like, man, they always trying to do something. I'm like, I ain't conspiracy theorist, but it's just like working in finance and understanding how economics work. I'm like, sometimes this stuff don't be like what they be saying. So I see it. He like, no, bro, this real. I'm like, man, whatever. We'll see. Later, we at work. They like, yeah. So Lamont, we're about to close up the office. You can stay to 3 if you want to, but we're all about to leave now because we're trying to get food and everything before the stores run out. I said, why the stores run out of food? It was like, you haven't heard about COVID-19? I was like, man.
Here we go. Here we go. Right.
And now we're here. Was it 2 years later?
Yeah, I'm interested. What's the craziest thing you did to stay safe during COVID? I think I probably sprayed so much alcohol on my hands that my hands are kind of like permanently wrinkly, and it's like I'm not even that old yet. So what about you?
I'm gonna say, I don't know. I really ain't do too much. I mean, I stayed in the house. I stayed in the house for the most part. I think my enjoyment was going to take out the trash.
Those are small things. I did go to Meijer a whole lot. I'm like, let me just get out. I have to see some people because I've been on this computer working on the brand in my own head for too long. Like, I just got to see somebody at this point. So yeah, I get it.
I really ain't. I mean, I seen some stuff. I mean, you walk into the store, you see people doing all type of stuff, and you like, did that just happen, or that's what they doing? But nothing necessarily too crazy. I mean, I was kind of upset that they didn't. How can I say it? They didn't have like a whole plan and action.
Right, the government.
Yeah, there was no plan of action of what we should be doing. And I was one of those firm believers that, yeah, I was listening to everything they were saying, but I was having faith through it all. You feel what I'm saying? Like I was going to a church. There was, you feel me? They was like putting it into us to like, don't be scared of this, don't be scared of that. And if I wasn't going there, I probably would have been tripping. But I'm like, yeah, like that is true. Like if God take me from this, then that's low key what was supposed to happen. And then my mindset had changed. And then I started like really just taking advantage of the situation versus like being scared.
I love that because I do agree with that too. Like faith and knowing that God is the source and God is our leader and he is the finisher, that secures us, right? It's like, okay, yeah, if I do die because of COVID, then it's because I'm supposed to die, right? So I shouldn't like live in fear. Like I shouldn't allow fear to control and dictate where I go. You know, like, of course, stay safe during COVID. I kept a mask on. And like I said, I sprayed my hands with so much alcohol. Like my sister saw my hands and she was like, your hands look like they're permanently wet. I'm like, don't say that
deteriorating.
Don't say that again. Yes, you can probably see it from here. But see, like she pointed it out, and I'm like, okay, don't say that. When we get older and we have wrinkles on our face, please don't tell me I got a wrinkle on my face, please. But no, yeah, but having faith definitely helps us just be secure and have fun and enjoy life, even when we're going through those hard times like COVID. Because I went out a couple times. Definitely did it safe. You know, my out probably was like Meyer, you know, my sister's house, you know, they definitely did it very safe, but I still, quote unquote, lived life within the parameters of society, you know? So yeah, I agree.
I mean, be honest with you, in our communities, we really shouldn't have been scared of COVID because it's more dangerous going outside doing anything else. And it is sometimes with COVID. Like I was talking to one of my brothers one day and I was telling him about a business opportunity. Mm-hmm. And then he was telling me all the risks with the opportunity. And I'm like, I don't think we realize how much risk we really be taking. Like we be willing to risk our lives. But if somebody tell us like, hey, you just give them this person $1,000, they're going to help you do X, Y, and Z. So you can do X, Y, and Z. We like, no, they're trying to finesse me. But you just was outside in the streets doing whatever. And the risk that you was taking with that might not even get a return. So it's like, I think you got to reevaluate what we look at as risk and reward.
And I was about to say, I feel like ignorance may be the root cause of that fear, especially when it comes to investing, because you really have to do your due diligence and study and research to be able to take a wise investment, you know, because it's a lot of sharks out there, you know what I'm saying? So don't just go into nothing blind. It don't matter how many millions they got, right? Do your research. But I do feel like people don't take the time to read and do research and talk and ask the really hard questions, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna give you this stuff, or come to me, ask me for $1,000. It's your job to, okay, what are you gonna do with this $1,000? Okay, what have you done with thousands of dollars before? Because if you constantly if you constantly make money with other people's money, then it's like, okay, man, if I do give you this 1,000, I know I'm gonna get a return of that 1,000 and maybe 10% more or whatever we agree upon, right? So we just got to read more, folk. Read more, read more. And then the more you know, the easier it is to, I guess, trust. But sometimes we are going to take those risks that lack all the knowledge because we're not going to know everything. And that's when faith comes in, you know? And I feel like God wants us to take those leaps of faith, right? But please, read up on it and be as knowledgeable as possible so you can take the best risk possible.
No, definitely. I agree with that because you can go blind into some things. And I mean, I've done it before. I mean, everybody done it. When you a hustler, quote unquote, you're gonna take some L's. I mean, it really not a loss when you think about it's a lesson because you know either not to go down that road again or to tell somebody else. And I think in our community, that's one of the main things that don't happen. Like, it's like sometimes we all run into a burning building and don't nobody come out and say like, hey, y'all don't go in there, or somebody just seen somebody go in there like, hey, no, don't do it. But we'll tell everything negative about a situation that we know nothing about.
Yeah. Yep. And it is a lot of negativity when it comes to the Black community. I don't want to say we all negative now, but of course I feel like those traumas of the Black community and the negative speaking and the negative talk amongst our like lives and our person and even each other, it definitely derived from like our past, you know. I know people don't like to talk about slavery, but it's a part of my history and it's a part of my heritage, and it's kind of a big reason why I don't know where my great grandfather is from, you know, versus, you know, someone else. They might know, oh yeah, they're right from Ireland, or oh yeah, they're right from Europe. But me, I don't know, you know. And I feel like, you know, just the practices that went on during slavery, in slavery, is deep rooted. So of course, those bad roots definitely created some really bad fruit that us Black folk are still eating, biting into, and getting nourished from, which is sad. But I do hope and I do pray and I do see a turning point with some really traumatic issues in the Black community.
Oh, definitely. You was able, you in the D. So like I already know the challenges within the D, but you decided to do something completely different. You decided to find a way to put God into your business plan. What made you come up with this collective of companies that you created?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really just dig deep within myself and analyze, okay, Kaylyn, who are you and what makes you happy, right? And what do you need to continue to walk forward, right? Because I feel like if I'm really true to myself and I'm real with myself, I can be authentic to others and for others. So looking back on it now, I was always the kid that was in church. Like my mama kept me in church, you know, and my household isn't like super biblical. My parents didn't get married and, you know, they didn't go to church. Well, my mom went to church every Sunday, but, you know, my dad wasn't on the deacon board or like none of that, you know. I'm not a PK, you know. So, but my mom kept us in church. And when I say kept, I mean, look, we did praise dance, we did choir, we did
church 8 days a week.
Let me tell you, okay? I don't think we went to Bible study, so we didn't do Wednesdays, but we definitely did Saturdays. We did Sundays. I think we had like a teen council. That was Fridays. You know what I'm saying? And it was fun though. You know how some kids or some people like, man, mama kept me in church. I don't want to go to church no more. Like I had so much fun in church. It was this one club called Pioneer Club, and we did like, it was all girls, right? They taught us about God in a fun way. And that's another thing. Like people make God so heavy all the time, you know, like, oh, God is going to send you there. Like, why are we talking about that? It's so much stuff to talk about in Christianity. And God is love. So why can't we talk about love? Why we always got to talk about the hell? Anywho, that's another time. But yeah, so we learned a lot about Christ in Pioneer Club. That was my favorite club, right? I invited my friends to Pioneer Club. Like it was everything. Went to school. Like you should come to my church. Their mamas would drop them off, the whole 9 yards, right? So I feel like it's always been in me, right, to be that leader when it comes to talking about God and giving God the glory publicly. I just decided to, I guess, cultivate it and mash it up into this business in 2020 because I really just wanted to be as true as possible. So God has always been a really big part of who I am, younger, and he's been helping me from young to old, right now. So of course, I just wanted to implement that in my brand. And truthfully, it is all about him. And he helps me in so many aspects that I kind of have to give him the glory. And that's just how I feel, right? I kind of have to give him the glory in whatever way I can. And I feel like talking about him is the least that I could do, you know? And plus it's fun. And putting God into my business, it helps me learn more about Christianity, because I always say that Christianity is a journey, right? Like people say baby Christians, but I do agree with baby Christians, right? People that just joined the faith and they probably don't read their Bible all the time. They don't know all the books of the Bible, you know? Yeah. So since it's a journey, we definitely, I have to do my due diligence. to continue to learn about God as much as I can, right? And with the podcast, or with me posting scriptures, or with me putting scriptures on clothes to sell them, all of that helps me grow in my faith, helps me learn more, helps me, get the tools that I need to combat, the devil, those bad spirits and those demons that's coming after me every single second, because of course they don't want to see you win. They don't want to see you win. They want to steal, kill, and destroy you. And if they can't destroy you, they're going to try to destroy your dreams, your hope, and everything in between. So I just feel like, I just had to add God into the mix, and the rest of the stuff. So the rest of the business, I guess the other 50% or 75% of the business, that's just natural, innate. God gave me those talents, and it's kind of like I can't really do anything else. So I'm going to definitely do what I can with what I have. So hopefully I answered the question.
Oh, definitely. I mean, people forget that, like, in the Bible, they had lives too. Like Solomon, like, he was the richest, but people don't understand how he was the richest. He was the richest because he controlled trade. Like we was talking earlier, how America is America because they control trade. That's what Solomon was doing. He was controlling trade. He was counseling. Everybody was coming to him to figure out, wait, how do you run this government this way? Like, well, God taught me how to do this, so I need to tell them what they're doing. He also had the largest stable of horses in the world. I think they said he had like 400 plus horses or something like that, or like 4,000 horses. I know it was a 4 in it. Okay. And so this basically lets you know that Solomon was the Rolls Royce back in the day. Like, cause you coming to him like, let me get a horse. Let me rent a horse. So that's his collection. That's what he cared about. He had 400 wives, a couple concubines. Like, he probably was, doing something he wasn't supposed to do with that too. But that's how he was able to monetize his gift. You feel me? Abraham, when he was going to these different places, every place that he went to, it said that he made a well. So we know he a well maker. But back then in the day, the Holy Ghost was telling me, like, you know how this happened, right? Because when you go into cities, then you have the water supply. So now back in the day,
that's good. Yeah, keep going.
That's how it was. Back in the day, people come to where they can congregate and they can create. So
and they can drink.
Yeah.
Like, a well maker, like, you providing something that people need. Like, no, keep going. I'm sorry. I'm still
you're good. That's really how it is.
What's up?
You got the water supply, and he moving to these desert lands and all these places, but it was not like nobody had the land. It was nobody's land unless they had a group of people. They had to have they goons, they soldiers to be like, no, this our land. You got to get up through. Mm-hmm. But he was having favor in these places. They was letting him they basically let him make the well. And they're like, no, you got to get up through. But when he got to Canaan, he built the well. It was his land. And then people come and they're like, well, can we build a house here? He like, this is my land. So, like, think about the thought process. He like, well, if you gonna live here, you gotta make sure I have this, or you gotta make sure you pay me this. They're like, okay, that's cool. The people who didn't have nothing, they work for him. So now he create this huge community based on these wells. He passed the same skill down on his sons. He passed down to Isaac. He passed down to Ishmael. He passed down to Jacob. And then it go from there. And then, like Joseph, he had a government's anointing. He was a prophet, but he was a dreamer, but he was able to use his gifts to be able to conduct the entire country of Egypt when they went into famine. So he was able to manage the resources properly, to be able to be like, all right, we taxing. It's a famine and we taxing, because he had the dream. And that's how we got to look at this kingdom building society that we're developing right now, because God is the source of everything. He's the earth is his. He gives us favor. He gives us the ideas. He gives us the resources. And once we utilize this to build the kingdom for everybody around us, not just trying to get rich, everything just fall in place. The Rolls Royce might be in your plan, but if you live for the Rolls Royce, that's when you living for mammon. That's when you living, because you're going to be willing to do whatever. You willing to be like, all right, look, they over there, they finessing me and they keep stealing from me. So I'm about to give y'all 50,000 and kill them. Why? Because you just living for the money. You're not living for the benefit of everybody around you. And that's what we got to pay attention to when it comes to this kingdom building.
Yes, and I love that you said, like, well, I don't know if you said it, but God is definitely speaking through you to me, because you pointed out that the Solomon story. Like, we really need to try to be the whale. Just be the whale. Try to provide something that's necessary to someone else. Provide something that can help somebody else, because everybody needs water. Let's be clear, right? So you need to figure out something, especially if you're trying to define your purpose and figure out what you're here for. What can you give someone that they need, right? Like when you said we don't need to be working for money, period, right? They create money, right, quote unquote, every day, right? And money will come. So money is the fruit, vision is the root. I heard that from Stephen Chandler, a preacher. And when I heard that, I'm like, that's so true. So if we focus on vision, we focus on purpose, right? And purpose makes room for others, right? It helps others. It's solely about someone else, right? Because we're only going to live so long. So if we focus on purpose and we really live in that and live abundantly in that, then hopefully our purpose, that the purpose we added to when we're gone, it could continue and someone else can take the reins. But if you live abundantly in your purpose, you will make money, period. The money will come, right? Because of course, God will see that, okay, I see you doing your thing. I see you working for me and you trying to let me work through you. Then let me provide some type of stability when it comes to it, because I want it to go. Like I want others to eat from this and bear fruit from this. So the money is just the fruit, love, but don't focus on the money. Of course, we need money. So, don't go broke, steward it well, right? Try to steward your purpose, steward with what you have well, in purpose. But try to, of course, have that balance. I think my goal is balance for sure when it comes to purpose and money and spending money and investing and things like that. So.
Stewardship is the most important thing, because we got this impression that like we're gonna pray and God gonna give us what we ask for, and if he didn't give us what we ask for, sometimes we get upset. But he only gonna give us what we can manage. He not gonna give us what we ask for, because
that's right.
I can want the world. I can want $1 billion, but if I don't know what to do with that $1 billion, God not gonna give me the $1 billion. I mean, I can get it from somebody else. It's called, his name is the devil. I can get it from Satan, and it's gonna be a price that comes with me obtaining this from doing whatever he has me do to do that. But if God gonna give it to me, he gonna give it to me for a purpose. I gotta have a plan set in stone. I gotta be able to have different resources as different people to be able to help me steward this out. I gotta have a team. I gotta have a product or service that's gonna yield increase. I'm not just gonna be a billionaire just because, oh yeah, I pray, yeah, God, I just need to be a billionaire because my haters, they hating on me. I just gotta be a billionaire because you gave me all these ideas. It's not gonna work like that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I feel like the parable of the talents. Like I'm not, I don't know everything, and I'm not baby Jesus, so I don't know where to find the parable of the talents. Do you know offhand?
Yeah, it's in Matthew. Let me see where my Bible go.
But yeah, you can find it. You can find it while I talk about it. But the parable of the talents, I think it was 3 gentlemen, and Jesus gave them all talents. And of course, in some translations, it's like money, right? So God gave one man a certain amount, another man a certain amount, and then another man like a certain amount. All of the amounts were different, right? Solely because God knew each of their abilities, So I'm not God, but God's not going to give the dude with the lesser abilities the most money. Like that doesn't make sense. And God, he makes the most sense. His sense is oh so perfect. So if it doesn't make sense to me, I know for a fact it's like, oh yeah, God definitely not gonna do it. So work on yourself and try to obtain those tools. And God will see that. He knows you more than you know yourself. And if he sees you that, okay, she's ready, to receive that $1 million, let's hit an increase or a bamboo increase, right? It might increase in a year, like you might earn 100K in a year. And then other people's lives, it might just be, okay, let me have her make 100 this month. Okay, 1,000 this month. Okay, 10,000 this month, but we're gonna go back to the 500 this month, and all of which is amazing. So
He gotta know you can steward it. You feel what I'm saying? He's not about to give you the bread. He's not about to give you the bag to go buy the 1942. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he's not about to give you the bag to go to Vegas and go crazy. He's not giving you the bag. Oh yeah, I just took a whole bunch of girls to Cabo and we just did it up. We got on boats. That's not happening. So if you getting this increase to do all of this and this continue to come, just know who possibly giving this to you. But that's a whole nother story. But that's not gonna happen. Like, God is gonna give you what he gives you to build his kingdom. You feel what I'm saying? Like, fun is gonna come along the line, and it's not a boring lifestyle. Because I know millionaires. You feel me? I know all type of people. They save. Like, some of the richest people in America is saved. Like, some of the top Black billionaires in the world. Like, I just found out I got them on my vision board. I'm like, look, I'm interviewing them this year because I done seen them talk about God in interviews and stuff. And I'm like, oh. So that's how you got there. That's how you was able to create this telecommunications company. Like, because you was living in your purpose and God was like, all right, I can plant more seeds in you and I'm going to get a harvest.
And I'm going to get a harvest. I like that. See, all the seeds, because God plants seeds in you. Like, I feel like that's automatic. And that's why God is grace. Like, he's going to plant seeds in you. But are you going to create the harvest? Are you going to water those seeds? Are you going to do all you can and learn all you can to implement the seeds that God placed inside of you and see it flourish in the earth? I love that.
You got to. I mean, that's all. You remember the parable when Jesus said, he was talking about the farmer. He throw the seeds. He said the seed, he explained it to the disciples. He said the seed is the word of God. You feel what I'm saying? Like, the ground, the different types of ground is us. You feel what I'm saying? The people. Like, he gonna throw the seed.
Oh, cute.
Some gonna fall on the path. They're gonna get ate up by the birds. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's never gonna do nothing. Like, some gonna fall in the rocks. Them the people who they'll listen, but it's like, oh yeah, they talking, but they ain't doing much. Yeah. Then you got the thorns, the weeds. It's gonna fall in the weeds, but they getting choked up. They'll never hit their potential because they worried about life. They worried about how they gonna get money. They worried about, I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, they never gonna live their true life. And then you got the good ground. But he also said that when it fall in the good ground, all the good ground not gonna produce the same harvest. He said some gonna produce 30-fold, some 60-fold, some 100-fold. Right. So we gotta truly want to live this life if we want to see 100-fold of ourselves. That's why it's so important that, like, when it comes to certain habits, certain lifestyles, certain different things that sometimes we try to deem it okay or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, you can still go to heaven, but are you going to be your best self? Here. Are you going to produce 100-fold while you here? Are you going to do everything that God called you to do? Here. If that answer is no, then you probably don't need to be doing that. Whatever it is that you about to do, you did it. And that's the stewarding, because it ain't just stewarding your money. It's stewarding your time, stewarding your relationships, stewarding the different things you're going to do today. Because if you don't steward that, we only got 24 hours.
Real tea. Yeah, real.
24 hours. Like, what you gonna do with your 24 hours? Like, he said, occupy till I come. He say none of the other stuff that be going on. He say, occupy till I come. Occupy means to be doing something. That means to actually be, how can I explain it? I don't know the exact definition of occupy, but everybody understands what it means to occupy, to be actually involved while you're waiting on something. So we know that we waiting for our master to come, but we need to be doing whatever he called us to do. We need to be occupying. We need to be bringing souls to Christ with whatever gift that we was given. Mm-hmm. And everybody gonna have different gifts. Somebody might be able to hoop. They might be the best hooper in the world. As soon as they get in that press interview, they say, I thank God for everything they did for me.
I was just about to say that. It looks different for everybody. Like, God isn't calling everybody to be a preacher. God ain't calling everybody to start a podcast, right? It could be as simple as you being called to be that accountant or to be that liquor store owner or whatever. But while you at that liquor store selling that liquor or whatever, you giving out cards that say, God loves you, or giving out scripture, or right, telling those people that's hanging around the gas station, because we all know a couple of them, right? Telling them about the goodness of Jesus Christ and, oh, what you doing around here, brother? I see you here all the time. Do you work? Like, be that vessel, you know, and it looks differently for everybody. You don't gotta go spitting scripture everywhere. Oh, God is this, God is that. God. Like, be real, right? And God, and do all you can with what you had, like you said about the stewardship.
If it's in you, it's gonna come out of you. That's why you are what you eat. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, you're not about to have, if you say you want to go to Miami and you like, all right, I want to make sure that my body look the best it's gonna be when I go down there. You're not about to be eating McDonald's every day.
Right.
It's not happening. Like, you're gonna go down there, you're gonna be disappointed in yourself, because you're gonna be like, dang, if I would have just had a little bit more smoothies. No, that's the same thing with the word of God. Like, if you want to see your full self, you got to put that word in. You got to be listening to it. You feel what I'm saying? It's seven spheres of wealth. And it's not all, it don't got to do with money. Like, the money is just a result. And you're going to get it based on how you live this life, because everything in life revolves around relationships. You feel what I'm saying? Like, after this interview, you can be like, hey, Lamont, I like the way you handled yourself in the interview. Would you want to come teach here or something, or do a conference with me or something? I'm going to give you XYZ amount of money. Like, that's God opening the door through a relationship and him giving you favor. But if you never try to put yourself in this position, you're not prepared for it. You're going to lose. That's why you got to know the word of God. Like, because the word of God is everything. It's truth. It's not like we think of it like, it's funny because we look at it like it's cliche, like it's suggestive living. Like, oh yeah, I love God, this, that, and third. But nah, if you really know the word, you're gonna go to the next level because it's in you. If you understand it to the, like, dot your I's, cross your, you're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna sin. Everybody gonna sin. That's how it is. Like, but it's levels to the sin. Like, when you do certain sins, you're not gonna do certain sins. If you're doing the same sin in year 1 that you're doing in year 10, and you're not convicted that this wrong, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a problem, and you're doing it to the same extent. Like, you tripping. Like, you just tripping. Like, right. And go back to what we were saying with the seeds. Like, you got some people that, you feel what I'm saying? I am gonna go there. You got some people, they think they can play the lottery. They've been playing the lottery their whole life. When you play the lottery, yeah, it don't speak against gambling, but basically you identifying that you don't even trust God enough to show you how to use your gift to go to the next level. So you rather work at this same job for 20, 25 years, hoping you hit this number. Right. You praying to God that you hit the number. You need to be praying to God that he show you what to do, whatever he gave you. If he taught you how to sing, he taught you how to sew, he taught you how to cook, he taught you how to use your hands, he taught you how to speak, he taught you how to do business. You need to be able to utilize this to go to the next level. Because when you go to the next level, somebody gonna see you. And they're gonna be like, well, how you get there, Kaylyn? Well, it was all God. Like, you want me? I'll show you. And you teach that little girl, you teach her how to get on her knees instead of go to the strip club. You feel what I'm saying? You teach her how to get on her knees instead of asking older men for the bag. You teach her how to get on her knees and pray instead of trying to hustle her butt off to try to get to the top of corporate, or work her butt off to have this business, but she always stressed out, so she always picking up wine. You feel what I'm saying? Like, right. It's a difference, and you're going to get blessed for that difference that you make it. You might wake up one day, you like, God, I don't know why you did this. And people be like, how much money you make? Well, I make like I think I make like 10. What did the accountant say? We make like 10 million a month.
Period.
You like?
I like that look back. I like to look back. Like, what is it again?
That's your team. That's your team.
That's my team. Come on. That's my team. Come on.
We make $10 million a month.
That's my team.
You said we make 10 million. Well, what do you do? I mean, I just teach women how to operate their business through God. They're like, well, how do you do that? You are a consultant, but you teaching them biblical principles to take them to the next level. And now they paying you. Say you don't even take a fee. Like, y'all pay me what y'all want. You making $10 million because people sowing into your life. But we don't look at life like that because we don't got that faith, and that faith come by hearing. hearing come by the word of God. You're gonna have faith for whatever you listen to. If I'm listening to, you feel what I'm saying? Like I'm listening to all types of different rap music all day, all night. This is what I live by. That's what I'm gonna live by. These are my principles that I'm gonna have. I'm gonna think that this is real life. If I'm listening to business all the time, business podcasts, all that, that's what I'm gonna live by. I'm gonna live by these principles. Why? Because that's what I have faith in. I have listened to multiple stories of people going through these different situations. I've been in some of the situations myself. I use the strategies that I heard. It's the same thing we're supposed to be doing with the word of God.
Absolutely. And I want to jump back a little bit when you mentioned sin. And of course, we all do sin, but sin is something that is put here, I guess, to stop you. I was thinking of an example of, say, sin being your vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. Sin is the vehicle, and it's on this road, and it's faced towards a cliff, right? So the road is an ending road, and the end is death, right? You're falling down over the cliff, right? Every time you sin, you're driving a little further towards that cliff, right? Mm-hmm. So every time you beat somebody up, every time you're angry, you're driving a little further. Every time you decide to sell your body, you're driving a little further, right? Mm-hmm. But to drive the opposite way, of course, you have to repent. That means turn. But then you have to do the things of the Bible, right? So, of course, the Bible, it helps us walk in our journey in Christ. But you do have to be that vessel. You do have to talk about God, pray, you know what I'm saying? Pray often. You do have to love one another, love your neighbor like you love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And that'll drive you the opposite way. But the more sins you do, the closer it gets you to death. And of course, we don't want to die love. So that's the biggest thing when it comes to sin. And I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why our older folks, so older Christians, you know, back in the day, all they did was preach about sin and how sin, you smoke weed, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. I think they really wanted to say that, right? The more you sin, the closer you are to death, and they love you so much so that they don't want you to experience death in any aspect. And it doesn't have to be literal death. It could be the death of your purpose, right? The death of those seeds God placed inside of you, you know? So be aware of sin, right? We're not going to be sinless. Our goal is to just sin less, you know? So just be very aware of the sin you do. And what do you do after that sin? You know, do you just go a step further? You know, like, oh, I did this sin. Now I'm curious, if I do more sin, if I add upon this sin, how is it going to feel? Or how much money am I going to be able to steal? Or, you know, so just consider that, you know. So, yeah.
No, that's big, because one thing God was sitting with me with one time, and it was like, I had a whole revelation of why people don't believe in God.
Okay.
Or they believe in God, or they don't want to like really submit themselves to God. It's because it's all because of money. Like, and we think it's cliche, but Jesus said you can't serve two masters. You feel what I'm saying? And we start to pay attention to people that drive that vehicle that you just mentioned. I like that too. I'm using that too next time.
You better tell them where you got it from.
I got you. I'm gonna give you credit. But you driving that vehicle, you feel what I'm saying? Like you busting the licks, you feel me? You going across the country, you got nice vehicle too. It might be nice. It might be a Bentley.
Oh, right.
Big sin, good sin.
Yeah, right. Wait. I heard a pastor say, if your sin don't feel good, you ain't doing it right. So the car gotta be a Bentley. It gotta be a Royce.
You better be driving around those Geo Metro. There's a lot of people doing that though.
Right.
If you go sin, I was telling my father that, like, not to get on the subject a little bit, but I was telling my father, I said that if I'm good out here, I'm like, you don't get it. I said, if I'm gonna get out here, I'm gonna get out here. I said, you gonna catch me Australia somewhere doing something I ain't got no business doing. Like, I'm like not about to be just at the bar, I'm gonna be at the bar with the same people I went to high school or college with, and just we saying which girl that we did not touch we can take home that night. Like we passing them around, like we just living in this small city. You feel what I'm saying? Like working at the same place we've been working at, like just recycling jobs and making the same little bit of money. Like that's whack. That's whack. Like we got to change it. But when you drive in this vehicle of sin, you feel what I'm saying? Like you are validating that you have this vehicle because of your sin. And you start to be like, well, how you gonna tell me I can't do that? You feel what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna tell me like how I can't do that? I don't want to use no specific sin because it's so many different, like people might get, I don't care if y'all get offended because this is the word of God, but I just didn't want to use nothing. Like we don't just say somebody sell drugs all the time. You know what I'm saying? They might be like, how you gonna tell me I'm wrong? I mean, the pastor, they're gonna validate it. You feel what I'm saying?
You always hear that. Yeah.
The pastor, he doing this, or they doing this. I know somebody who doing this, or I know somebody who doing this. They gonna or you don't know how I grew up. I got to get it how I live. Everybody ain't got the same route. You gonna start validating your sin to the point to where you don't want to believe the truth, because if you believe the truth, that contradicts everything that you're doing. If you say you a stripper, you feel what I'm saying, like the stripper, and she know it's wrong. Like a lot of them know it's wrong, but like
it ain't hard.
Yeah, like get to the point where like she just like, this how I get it. You feel what I'm saying? She don't want to hear that like, oh no, this is wrong, because she don't even got no faith that it can be another way, honestly.
Or God loves you so much so that you don't have to do this. Like God made some really amazing parts about you. You have so many gifts that you didn't even tap into that you could make money off of, but you like choosing the easy way out. Like you choosing an obvious way out. Like the devil speaks too, he tempts too, he knows how to get you in a strip club. He knows, oh, if Kelly looks at this fur coat that the stripper got on and she lost her job the other day, I already know she gonna want to be a stripper. So yeah, that's easy money, So it's really about the love. And I do just want to put a disclaimer out there. Like we're not talking to down you or bash you or to make you feel lesser than. None of that. Like my sole purpose is to, of course, bring people to God. And God is joy, God is peace, God is love, God is positivity. Like God is all of those things. But of course, just like any father or any dad, he cares so much so that he's going to discipline you sometimes, And of course, that just comes with it. But just know God loves you. I love you. And of course, I want to see the best in everyone. That's my whole thing. Like, for example, one of my friends, and when you were talking, it made me think about him, about validating sin, right? So I'm looking, or I talk to him every day. Like he's hilarious, like, and one day I'm just like, bro, I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, you need to be a stand-up comedian. Like, duh, you know what I'm saying? Like, why haven't you like tapped into that? He like, stand-up comedian, bro. What are you talking about? I'm not no stand-up comedian. I'm like, you never heard that before? He like, no, I haven't. Like, I'm like, are you serious? I was just mind blown. Because usually if you take account or just look back on your life and see the type of compliments you used to get back when you was little, right? So if they used to say, oh yeah, you class clown. Oh yeah, like they were saying to him, oh, you were class clown back in the day. He used to get suspended because he had like the best jokes. He just said them at the wrong times. So the class would go crazy. But then the teacher would be so mad because she's trying to teach right now. So then he would get suspended, right? He would host the Christmas programs back in middle school. You know what I'm saying? So that's obvious. That's obvious. And of course, God uses those moments to speak to your purpose. So to that person that probably is, debating, oh my gosh, what should I do? Trying to find their purpose. Look back on your life. What type of compliments did I get? Like, did people love my hair after I did it? Like, did people love my nails? Like, did people think I spoke really well? Or did my friends always come to me and ask me, what should I do? So I don't know. Take account and just know I love you. God loves you, and yeah, I just want to see you thrive.
For sure, like we ain't bashing you, but
Yeah, no.
we gotta hold each other accountable, because if we don't, then who gonna do it? Because like I said, like I heard a female rapper say this one time. They was like, "Why you talk about this and this and this and this so much?" And she said it blatantly. She was like, "Because when I talked about such and such and such and such, it ain't sell."
Mm-hmm.
I think Jay-Z even said, yeah, it was Jay-Z. Jay-Z said, he said, I used to rap about common sense. He said, I used to rap like common sense. He's talking about common. I used to rap like common sense. But once when I stopped rapping common, I don't know how he said it.
He started making some sense.
Yeah, like he started making sense. Like basically,
yeah, he started making money.
He said, I used to rap. Yeah, this was it. I used to rap about common sense, but I started making money. I ain't rap like common sense. That's what he said.
Oh, okay.
I ain't rapping like that because it don't make me no bread. You feel what I'm saying? So like it's certain things that we use our gifts to do, because I'm gonna get this hustle, just to get the moolah. That's how we is. You feel what I'm saying? Like, but that's not what we supposed to be living for. And we gotta understand that God gonna take us to the next level if we, you feel what I'm saying? Like, utilize what he gave us to do what he wants us to do, not what we want to do, accepting obedience over our happiness, because it ain't gonna last anyway.
And plus, obedience will lead to happiness, though. I don't want it to get confused that, you know, God's gonna tell you to do a lot of stuff that you don't want to do, and you're gonna be unhappy and want to commit suicide. That's no. God wants you to be happy. You know, God is joy, literally. So why doesn't he want you to be happy on the surface level too? You know, so he wants you to be happy. I feel like his way isn't obvious, but it's not clear. What am I trying to say? But his way is, it's to that abundant life. It's to the nectar. It's to the land of milk and honey. Like, so, and all of that stuff is good, you know, like people in purpose make money. Tyler Perry, right? He's been walking in his purpose, and he said when he was younger, like he didn't play about his purpose either. He was doing things that aligned in his purpose, even if it was minuscule or minute, like on a minor level, right? It still had to connect to his purpose, right? And we all know Tyler Perry is very rich, right? But I know for a fact he wasn't back in the day saying, look, I gotta make 90 billion. I got to. That's not what he was preaching. He was preaching, he wanted to make people laugh and be the light in a dark world. Like, that was his goal. So switch your goal. Don't make it about money now. And another thing I want to say is that when you said accountability, people do need to take accountability for the things that they do, or we need to take accountability, or what am I trying to say? Accountability for others' actions, right? Because I feel like accountability leads to growth. And I feel like that's the idea. Nobody wants to be a 60-year-old with a 20-year-old mind, you know? Like, we should want to grow. We should want to learn. We should want to be wise so we can better help someone else the best we can, you know? So, yeah.
Got to. Like, if you ain't growing, I don't know what to tell you. Miles Monroe said, he said the greatest tragedy is not the graveyard. It's not dying. People think death is the greatest tragedy. But he said the greatest tragedy is living life without a purpose.
Yeah.
Because you wake up every single day
wondering what and why. Yep.
What am I supposed to be doing? Why am I here? Like, where am I going? Like, I tell that to ladies a lot all the time too. They be always a lot of ladies. They be, they got the conversation about how they want to be married and stuff. Our community is like it ain't a shortage of men, but it seems like it because of the way it is. It just seems like it.
No, I know it is. I mean, in the Black community now, I don't know the statistics of like men in the world versus women in the world, but in the Black community, it's definitely a shift in a gap in a ratio that's kind of crazy for real. But of course, that could be equated to the slavery and because I think the jails are like 75% Black or like something like that. So if the jail has a lot of Black men, I mean, and not a lot of Black women. Where are the Black women in society? So of course that's the gap, right? And of course we could, talk a lot about like why all the Black men are in jail, but yeah, it is a shortage of Black men for sure. But keep going.
It's a shortage, but it's still good. What I'm getting to is it's still good men out here.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is that a lot of men, I'm just gonna be honest, a lot of men not living in that purposeful living. You feel what I'm saying? They're not living in that thought process. So that's what makes it seem like a shortage, because women is feeling like, all right, he cool, he do this, he do that, but he ain't on my level. And it's not necessarily, we think we equate it to financially. Like even the verbiage we use is financially. Like you hear certain girls say, if he ain't getting to the bag, but you're not looking for a man who get into the bag. You just looking for a man who's responsible with his gift. You're looking for a man who's going to take action. You're looking for a man who's going to take initiative. You're looking for a man not necessarily to take care of you, but to make sure you're good. But you equate it to money because we lack it so much. So you think that a man with money is going to be you feel me? He's going to be the problem solver. But if we look at, like you just said, the reason why these people in jail was why? Because they were chasing the bag. Like they were chasing the bag. This happened in I think the 70s. The 70s is when stuff started shifting in America. Like 60s, they started killing all of our leaders. And I feel like the 70s was a dead spot. Period, like across the whole world. Like the war had just ended. They did the gold standard. They took away the gold standard. People searching for money. People trying to figure it out. And a lot of Black people, what they resorted to was, you feel me, partying, drugs, pimping. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of women, they got kids, but they don't know how to feed these kids. So what they go do, they go find them. They need guidance. Like it's not necessarily they would just run to the pimp because they ain't know what to do. They would run to the pimp because the pimp was making sure they was good. And he like, all right, look, well, it wasn't no good services they could sell. So they was like, all right, we gonna sell you, like, because they gonna buy you. So we gonna sell you. So he was taking care of them as far as like guidance. And then he got out of line to the point they was beating them up and doing all this stuff, making them do drugs, all that stuff. But then it lead to the 80s. So like pimping ain't that big no more. Like, so how we gonna get money? Somebody dropped off the bag in the community, dropped off the crack. Now, what they do, they cooking. Late 80s, early 90s come. That's what they know. Like my father and them, that's what they know. Like, yeah, some of them went to school, but a lot of them went to school just to sell dope.
Yeah.
They know they could go to the school in the city that it ain't nothing but dope heads, because it was like selling weed back then, low key. Like it was like, not everybody did dope, but a significant amount of people, they smoked crack or they did coke or whatever they did. So they like, if I go here, all I got to do is I got to get from point A to point B, and I'm a millionaire in 6 months. That's all they knew. So they was chasing the bag, and it put all of our leaders, per se, in prisons. So now these kids is coming up in the 90s, early 2000s. The leaders that they could be listening to and learning from, they locked.
Right. And I feel like it's a lot of systemic things as well, as you alluded to. Of course, our uncles, our dads, like their generation, they sold a lot of weed because they thought that's the only thing they could do. And in some case scenarios, it was the only thing they could do, simply because, the society was racist. And of course, being that the society was racist, they were gunning after, or gunning might not be the word, but I do talk a lot of slang, so please pardon me. But they had a scope. They had a scope on those Black men that had that mentality. So that's why a lot of them got locked up. But I do have a question when it comes to current day men now in 2022. Why do you think that men now, you can speak Black men because you are one if you like, but why do you think they aren't fulfilling their purpose, or just working for money and, in that rat race, right? So the paycheck to paycheck type of mentality, why?
It's a lack of guidance. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's a lack of guidance. Like we don't have nobody to tell us, and exposure too. Exposure is a big thing. Like, to be honest with you, I was just talking to my father about this the other day. When I first went to school, I played football at a small Division II school. It was a white school. Feel what I'm saying? Like, you got white listeners. I ain't targeting y'all, but it is what it is. I went to a Caucasian based school. It was a Christian school. And I got exposed to a lot of different things. Like I met some of my friends that was actually wealthy and rich. Like I'm going to their houses and I'm seeing how they live life. First time I tell this story to one of my friends. He said, that's the most amazing story I ever heard in my life. Cause I told him about how first time I came to his house. I'm like, that was the first time I went to somebody's house and they told me like, yeah, get what you want to eat. They didn't like tell me what I was going to eat. You want something to eat, just get whatever you want. I'm talking about they got everything. You feel me? Certain things don't happen. You don't meet hedge fund managers in our community. You don't meet people who are top level consultants. You don't meet people who own $1 million corporations. Like I met one of my friends and he told me his father owned a multi-million-dollar corporation. They got planes and all that stuff. When I first, I'm like, wait, you said what? Like y'all got planes? He like his father like, yeah, did you take him on the plane yet? Cause I'm looking at all his model planes, and I'm like, you like planes? I'm like, this dope, this cool. He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah. He said he'll take you on a plane one day. You ain't never took him on a plane yet. And I'm like, what kind of lifestyle y'all live? You feel me? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's different. Then I went to HBCU, and I was able to notice the difference. I'm like, we taught. So they basically teaching you at the lower level. They teaching you how to be the house slave. You feel what I'm saying? When you go to high school, they just teaching you how to make it. They just teach you how to be the slave, just how to just be able to survive out here.
Work for no one. Mm-hmm.
Like just survive. Like some people got jobs, some people don't. Like, but they just trying to survive. Like this, and we taught that the man is to provide. You feel what I'm saying? Like the man is provide. So you think that like if you don't get the bag, you worthless. Like
if you can't provide,
if you can't provide, you think that you worthless. You feel what I'm saying? So now you got this mentality to where all you thinking about is, well, it depends on where your thought level is. Because some people, they go to college, they get a little, but you got to think of the basic level of living. All people at the lowest level of life, they think about is food, shelter, sex. Food, shelter, sex. And with that sex comes children. So now that's the only thing on the basic level. And a lot of men are down there because they don't, not necessarily they don't get the opportunity to pursue education, but they don't have no guidance to teach them how to use their skill to get up the ladder. Like you might not be an accountant. You might not be a lawyer, but you can be a top level blue collar business owner. You feel what I'm saying? Like we just now getting into the trucking industry heavy. The trucking industry is like one of the number one industries, but nobody was pushing us to drive trucks. Nobody was pushing us to be engineers. Nobody was pushing us, you feel what I'm saying, be plumbers and stuff like that. Like we look at plumbers and stuff, we like, but if you set up the right system, you making $10-20 million a month and you ain't touching a pipe.
This looks great to me. Hey, we need plumbers.
You ain't be a plumber and don't touch a pipe. You feel what I'm saying? Like the system just set up so smooth that you got you setting it up. But we not taught this. So since we not taught this, like women, y'all taught that, you feel me? Strong, independent. Y'all mamas took a lot of L's by basically being there for these men that either decided to, because at that time, I'm gonna keep it real. Like I was talking to one of my friends about this. He was talking about like people who sell dope, and I was like, you don't understand how it was. I said, like back then, when you sell dope, like the amount of money you was able to make selling dope trumped everything else. You weren't thinking about no daggone school. You weren't thinking about, like, if you was thinking about school, it was like, because your mama made you go to school and you had a mother that was smart enough to make you go to school. Most of their mothers like, where the check at? Where the bag at? You about to give me five. You say you're gonna give me 5,000 last week. They ain't telling their son to stop.
Yeah,
it's not happening like that. So you got, not saying that going to school was secondary, but it was secondary. You didn't have athletes like that. If you was trying to hoop, you was trying to play football, like Deion Sanders. That's why Michael Jordan is the GOAT, because he was the reason why people actually play basketball. Deion Sanders is one of the reasons why people play football. They found that they can get a check doing this. So they're like, I ain't selling dope no more. We better go do this.
Yeah.
So we weren't taught that because they didn't understand that. They knew sell dope. Once they got caught, they got too many F's. They can't do nothing no more. What they gonna do? They go get this dead end job. They just trying to survive. They just trying to make sure
I was
that
about to say it's all connected. It's all connected. Like survival, you can't even think longevity when you're trying to survive. It's literally about the next day. Like I'm trying to make money for the rent for the next day. I'm trying to make money to eat for the next day. But so we weren't thinking about longevity, so we couldn't adapt those type of structures and those type of systems. If we did adapt those type of structures and systems, then we would be able to think, oh, okay, like my investments are already set up. I'm already making money that covers the now. So let me think about how my money can multiply for the future. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And also when it comes to the independent woman of today, and I feel like it's a lot of independent women. I am one, and I was raised by one, but that woman or that characteristic in a woman, that was solely developed as a reaction to the cause, right? The cause was, our Black men, they were going to jail, they were in the streets, they were dying. And I mean, as Black people, I don't feel like we fold, right? Like we're a tough type of people because we were so oppressed, right? That we had to work and grind for just about everything we had. So the women just stepped up, right? They stepped up and they morphed into that provider, that nurturer, that protector. They just had to do what they had to do at the end of the day. So I just wanted to address that.
No, that's what happened, because the people that our mothers, well, yeah, we are around the same age. Our mothers, they relied on, like you said, they died. They was like the winners, like that they would call the winners. You feel what I'm saying? The people that they wanted to be with, the men that were like, you wouldn't consider a dope dealer intellectual, but if you making 30 mil a month, what do you think you are?
No, you definitely need to consider that. They were
like,
brilliant.
What do you think you are? Like, what do you think you are? They're smart beyond measure.
Dope dealers were, yes, like math. They could do math in their head because they had to. They had to make it quick, like quick. Like, come on now. No, they were brilliant. They just used their talents and treasures in the wrong area, and I
can't even say the wrong area. That was the opportunity that they took because they seen, because in business, what you taught in business before you go in business, they tell you what? Find a niche. They tell you.
No, it was still wrong. Like, no,
listen, I'm not deeming it right or wrong. What I'm saying is all they did was they took business principles and they was like, all right, look, it's a lack in this environment. It's a high demand, low suppliers because people getting killed, people scared to do it because of the law, and we about to fill this void. And they just hopped in the industry without understanding the risk.
And that's wrong. It's the right thinking process. It's right. It's here right. But you're manifesting it in the wrong way. Why gotta be drugs? Why can't it be a product? Or
that's because they didn't have access to everything else.
But I
think.
And I get the reasons. But it wasn't right.
Before dope, it was women. In the 70s, that's what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned the whole pimp thing. Yeah, the 70s, that's what they were doing at a massive rate. You feel what I'm saying? Like a massive rate. It was like where did pimps and hoes come from? Like it was like they used to have pimp and hoe parties. Like it's funny now they have them. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's what they was like. The 70s was about like we got to find a way to get money, basically. Right. Young lady. Like, you ain't got no money, but I can make sure you got money. And it was not saying it was derogatory. Yes, it was derogatory, but they weren't thinking of it like that in a sense. They just was, but they go back to that situation we talk about, that vehicle. You gonna validate the sin because you like, what? I gotta eat. I gotta feed my kids. And then, once you don't know the use of something, it get misused. Like, so they started abusing it. Now they on drugs. Now they selling drugs. And then the 90s come, and that's when they start locking everybody up. They giving people football numbers. Yeah. Give you football numbers. They ain't playing no games. You feel me? So now the late 90s come.
Yeah.
We torn apart. But rap, what come into play? Rap music. They like, we ain't gotta sell dope no more. We just talk about the dope.
We talk about what we've been through. Oh, okay.
Then they start making checks that they weren't making in the streets in the studio.
Bigger checks.
But it actually was making the community worse because what? The power of the tongue is life and death. But people like it because they drawn towards the sin. They drawn to
relate.
Fruit.
It's the same. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now that's at an all-time high. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but that's what it turned into. But it messed our community up because we draw so far back from, we was at our top level of intellect, business development, everything at the top of the 60s. Like we came off the Great Depression, but we created our own communities. They took down Black Wall Street in the 20s, but you feel me? They rebounded. They created Atlanta. You feel what I'm saying? They created Greensboro. They created Durham. They created Detroit. Like people don't know. Hey, tell them Detroit was Atlanta.
Detroit was lit. Like my mom.
Detroit was Atlanta.
Yeah, my mom used to tell me Detroit had like 1 million people in it. Like, and the East Side was banging, skating rinks. They were skating every Sunday. Like Riverwalk, Belle Isle. Like, yeah. Like I always tell my mom, like, I really would love to like be in Detroit when there was 1 million people in it. Right now we like at 600,000. And I think it's on a decline. But Detroit was that. It was that. Yeah.
It was Atlanta. Like, I mean, be quiet as it's kept. I mean, Atlanta started coming up, but you feel me? They had Jermaine Dupri, but then they popped off when Big Meech went down there. Big Meech showed them Southern boys how to get some real money. He bringing in connections and they spending money in these clubs. Rap music blowing up because at the time the incubator for a rap song was what? The club. You got to be in a place where the most people gonna be. If Big Meech in the place, Big Meech was the celebrity. Big Meech and BMF coming through. They making sure all the girls gonna be there. They making sure all the people gonna be there. You feel what I'm saying? If it's a strip club, they throwing all the money. And what happens? You gonna pay to have your song played in that club.
Right.
I would blow up. Now everybody like, we going to Atlanta. Yes, people talking about something they don't know what they do. They like, yeah, I'm about to go. When I get 18, I'm moving to Atlanta. That's what was happening.
So many people from Detroit are moving to Atlanta. So I understand because back in the day, my grandfather and my grandma, they moved from the South to Detroit because of the big three, the car companies to work and, work in the factories. So I get it. And Atlanta is popping. I ain't gonna hold you up. I went down there like 3 times in 1 year before, like a couple years ago, before the pandemic. But yeah, I get it. But I still love Detroit. Still a D girl.
I mean, I think y'all gonna come back up, to be honest with you. I mean, it has the structure. I'm from Cleveland. I'll be saying, I think like these are incubating cities where it can shift anyway. Like the same amount of people that are in Chicago right now, that's the same amount of people that was in Cleveland during the Rockefeller era. Oh, okay. So basically it's really black people because we the workforce. So like we migrate. Are we gonna go here? Are we gonna go here? Not everybody going to Texas. You know what I'm saying? Everybody and their mama going to Texas. There's always an opportunity in Texas, but eventually it's gonna be a lot of us in Texas. Like
right.
And it's gonna keep on shifting.
Definitely. And I feel like it's going to take those whales that we were talking about, those people that are disruptive to, an industry to come here. I think they were talking about Amazon coming here once upon a time, but, people like that, like Jeff and them, come in and bring in like so much to the community, like jobs and resources. Yeah, I'm just excited to see who, it could be you, it could be me, but we'll see.
I mean, you the creator. I mean, I'm creative a little bit too, but I seen on Instagram, I see you had you made a garment out of leaves. I'm like, wait, how you do that? I'm like, how you do? Because my mama, she been sewing my whole life. Like my mama, she made prom suits. She gonna sew. You feel what I'm saying? Like she gonna sew. She got you feel me, the brothers. You feel me? I know the machines, all that. Like she been doing our whole life. So when I seen you do it, I'm like, how she do that? How did you do that?
Let me tell you. So that was at a time where I was like in a depressive type state, like at that point. So I was just
you did that depressed?
Yeah, I was so sad. Yeah, it was like, and I was just like, and I try to do whatever I can to combat that or fight that or get up out of that, because it don't feel good to be sad all the time and depressed and like all that. So I was just like, Kaylyn, do something you love doing that's gonna challenge you. What can you do? And then God gave me that idea, like, make a shirt out of leaves, and you can see that on my Instagram at KREN Collective, Kren Collective. I have some pictures there. But yeah, I just went to the backyard and I took my dress form out there and I just started creating. And of course, creating out of something that's alive has its challenges because it's dying as you create. But it was a fun challenge. And I've been doing that since college though. I did a wearable art collection in college and I made dresses and like tops and stuff out of paper mache. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made some dresses out of paper mache and I made the tops out of like floral, the fake flowers that you get from the dollar store. And I wanted to challenge myself and try to make that look as big as creatively aesthetic as possible. And yeah, I did that. So I just went back to my roots and I'm like, Kaylyn, just do something. Do something I ain't never been done before that you ain't never seen and just have some fun with it. Like, because sometimes purpose will add some pressure on our lives, right? And I felt like the business that I created and the visions that God has given me and gave me added a level of pressure to my life. And of course, the whole like, oh my gosh, okay, I see all of this stuff. I'm trying to do all I can. I don't feel like I have enough time nor resources. So I was just freaking out literally, right? But I had to go back to the word and then I had to do some things that just take my mind off of it, like just ease my mind in that. So I made the shirt, and then after that, I made a purse out of gummy bears, and that was so challenging.
Wait,
I bought, like a 5-pound bag gummy bears, and I melted them all down, and I cut them up, and I just kind of like assembled it into this bag, and I put a little hardware on it so it could kind of look like a purse. And me and my mom went out and took some pictures. And it was cool. Now that was a hard project though. That took about like days, like working on it consistently, or probably weeks, definitely weeks, working on it consistently. But I loved it though. And of course, I'm going to continue to do it within the business because I feel like it's really creative. And as a business owner, or to my business owners, you have to think outside of the box when it comes to marketing and promotion, right? Because we live in an age of technology where literally, like, if you don't catch somebody's attention in the first couple seconds, then they're going to keep going. So I'm using that as a tool to, get eyes on the business. And of course, it attracts people and it gets them wondering, like, how did you even come up with this idea? Like, what did you, So, and it's fun to me. So, yeah, so I'm going to fold that. I'm going to keep doing that in a very abstract sense with food and, stuff like that. But I also want to take that and put it in a minor aspect and put it in my clothing line. So I'm working on a wearable art clothing line as we speak. But of course, that wearable art, you're not going to be walking around wearing a gummy bear bag, but it is going to be some really cool stuff that represents the body of Christ and is going to be interesting to look at too. So hopefully people look at that shirt or look at that dress and say like, wait, did somebody paint that? Or, did somebody, like, what is that made out of? So that's the goal. And yeah. And hopefully we release that at the beginning of the summer.
You're going to be at the Met Gala. Rihanna and them.
I would love it. Yeah, I love the Met. I love watching the Met. Yeah. Because that's fashion to me, like the couture runway shows. Like those are really interesting and amazing too, because you can really see the craftsmanship when it comes to those fashion houses in France or in Paris, all of that, right? They do the hand sewing and it takes hours upon hours, right? They have the best quality leather, So yeah. And I feel like they push the boundaries of fashion too, like I feel like right now I love sportswear and loungewear and stuff like that, but everybody wears leggings and t-shirts. So I feel like when you look at couture fashion, like it gives the eye and the brain and the creative aspect of yourself a break from just, comfortable wear, So yeah.
At a point in time, that was not the thing. I remember when they first started wearing leggings all the time. They started selling them in the stores. I'm like, where where they pants go? Like where
Right.
everybody wearing these now? Like where the girls wear these?
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
No, I'm excited to see what else you bring to the table because I ain't gonna lie, I was looking through you. I was like, man, she doing all type of stuff. She an arts and craft mastermind over here.
Yeah, and when I tell you, I mentioned earlier in the podcast that it's literally all I could do. I remember one time I was really frustrated in my business about, I guess, the direction of my business, where I should go and how I should do it. And it was really consuming me. And I just decided, like, look, okay, like at this point, I was upset. I was upset with God. And I was just like, God, look, okay, like I can't do this no more. Like, I can't do this no more. Like, I'm going to see, like, if I could just make some money, and try to steward that a little later in fashion, but let's just go for the money, right? And of course, the money that's not the right idea. Anyway, but I was like, let me just go for the money, right? So I started wholesaling. Do you know what that is?
You talking about real estate wholesaling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did a 30-day challenge, and that's on my YouTube as well, and you can check that out. But the 30-day challenge, it was so hard. When I tell you, I gave myself a week to learn about it because I had no idea. I saw a little clip on Instagram, and it said that, wholesaling is basically being the middleman between a seller and a buyer. And the buyer could be really anybody. The buyer could be another investor. The buyer could be a family owned, or it could be a bigger company that buys and flips or whatever. But the buyer could, kind of look like anybody, but it's usually, a family or an older couple or just somebody that wants to get rid of their property. And of course, there's a whole system in that. And, if you're interested in that, just go to YouTube, type in wholesale, and there's some gurus on YouTube that really break it down. But I did that. I bought into software and I pulled lists and I called people. I got rejected a whole lot. Like, I think I made 500 phone calls. Like, it was bad, y'all. So, hey, it might be your purpose. So, see, it wasn't mine. See, and I'm trying to step into somebody else's purpose, and God slapped me on back. Basically, that's what he was doing. But I did learn from that, although it was really a really terrible time. After I made those 500 phone calls, got rejected every single time. And then the one lead I thought I had was a mean old lady that had a really old house. And she said that the house was worth like $200,000, but she lived in it for like 80 years and only did like 10K worth of repairs. Like, it just didn't make sense or add up when it came to like the real estate game, but that's a whole nother thing. So I was talking to my dad about it, and it was really stressing me out. And I just like decided to drop it because I'm like, yeah, clearly, like, this is making me even more sad, even more mad. And like, it's just not me, So I did learn a lot when it comes to rejection, because I do feel like as entrepreneurs or business owners, we need to be comfortable with rejection, because we're going to get a lot of no's in life. Even if you're walking in your purpose, you're going to get a lot of no's in life, but it only takes that one yes to change your whole life, And I feel like God gives that yes when you're ready for that yes. And I feel like after you earn, or after you receive so many no's, it changes your heart posture, right? It gives you the ability to persevere and endure through storms that you're going to go through when you're rich or when you're famous, or however God deems to bless you, exponentially. So yeah, so that's what I learned in that. And yeah.
No, you was able to persevere, honestly, and
sure.
still persevering. Like,
Yeah,
you give somebody else some willpower to keep persevering.
Please. Yeah, please don't stop. No. Yeah. Like, I cry often for the people that, think it's easy and, oh my gosh, you got a nice wig on. That's fabulous. But I cry a lot, and it is really hard. But one thing I learned from Russell Wilson, just probably last week, I was listening to him and Sierra. They were on the Ellen show talking about, their relationship, and he was talking about his journey. And he basically said that you have to wake up every day wanting and willing to take that risk, the risk to follow your purpose, because it's a decision every day, and it's going to be hard every day. Because me personally, I don't know if this is every entrepreneur, but I work really, really hard, but I don't really see a tangible reward just yet, So that's me taking the risk, right? I know, and in my heart of hearts, and I know and I believe this is where I need to be, and God has an abundant life for me, and this is my path to get there. So I know I have to take the risk every day. And yeah, so hopefully you find your path and find your road and take that risk every day. Because I feel like his words, Russell, just kind of validated that, okay, Kaylyn, like, you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? He took the risk every single day. And I don't know how long it took for him to see his reward, but I know it's not an overnight thing. So you just got to keep pushing.
Definitely, because Joseph was in the pit.
That is my favorite story or parable. I'm sorry, in the Bible. Please go check it out. It's in Genesis. See, I'm not the Bible. I didn't write the Bible. I'm sorry, so I don't know. But just type in the Joseph, right? It was the pit to the palace. But he was like getting knocked down so much, and then he finally hit the palace. I think it was like pit, palace. It was like,
he was in the
crazy.
He was in the pit. They sent him to jail. You feel me? He was in jail for like 7 years. So like, you gotta. But it's funny because people think about age, right? So
right.
The time when Joseph first got beat up by his brothers, put in the pit, got sold into slavery. Then after he got sold into slavery, he ended up in Potiphar's house. But he in Potiphar's house, he's so sweet with the work, and he figured out how to do everything so sweetly. They put him in charge of everything. After he in charge of everything, now the wife, you feel me? She see him, she like, oh, I want to have sex with you. You want to have sex with me? Like, no, I don't do that. Like,
trying to be a man of God, right?
I don't do that. Like, I don't do that. That ain't what we're supposed to be doing. She keep on pressing him. You feel me? She end up lying, saying he raped her. End up in jail. But when he in jail, they make him the HNIC. He a head person in charge in the jail. You feel me? He the head person. Everything go through him. And then when Pharaoh sent his people down there, he interpreted their dream. The dream got back to Pharaoh. Pharaoh had a dream. Then he like, well, go get this dude because I can't figure out what's wrong with this dream I keep having. He interprets the dream. Now he like, well, since you interpret the dream, I need you to run the play.
To be the second in charge. Like, they made him the second in charge from prison. And I think while God gave him that gift to interpret dreams in prison. I don't know if it was in prison or before, but he definitely used it in prison. And he
had a dream before. That's how he ended up in the pit.
Okay, but yeah, the prison folks was asking him like, bro, look, I just had a dream. Like, how long am I gonna be down here? Like, da da da. And then he was telling him like, yeah, bro, you're gonna die tomorrow, but you gonna leave. You get what I'm saying? So when you leave, tell them about me and my gift down here, so I could leave with you. That dude that went up there, he was like a chef or something in the kitchen. He forgot about Joseph in the prison for 2 years, and then it hit him like when they was asking like, bro, like, we need somebody to interpret dreams. He was like, oh, it was somebody in jail 2 years ago. He might still be down there. Like, what? So even like you doing the right thing, right, but you're not seeing the right results, but just keep it going because you might be second in charge in a minute. So yeah, I love that story. That's like my favorite story.
He didn't get there until he was 30.
Was he 30?
He was 30.
Oh my gosh. And when do you know his age when he was thrown into the pit with his brothers?
He had to be young. He was probably between the ages of 12 and 16, somewhere around there.
See, I thought it was like high school. That's wild. I gotta do some more research on the age because that'll really put some stuff into perspective.
Imagine being in there like almost 20 years. You just like,
what?
God, you God, you the one who gave me the dream, because he had a dream about his brothers that he was ruling over them.
And you gonna bow to me? Yeah.
And they was already mad at him because he had all the favor. He had the code.
Jealous, yeah.
They was sorry. They whooped on him.
Yeah. Yes. But that's my favorite book. If you don't read anything else, if you're not a Christian, if atheist, whatever, just read it. It's good. It's a good story. It's a good story for the Christians and non-Christians, for everybody. It's a great story. Great story.
Everything in that Bible. Like, that's why I say, I mean, it's the truth. Like it's like it's not suggestive. It's not feel good. When you think of it as a feel good message, you one of those seeds we was talking about that end up in the rocks. You feel what I'm saying? You're never gonna attach to nothing, so you're never gonna really grow. And if you end up in the weeds and you grow a little bit, but you never hit your full potential because you worried about how you gonna get money, you worried about where you gonna go in life, you worried about how you gonna do this career goal, or how you gonna have kids, when you gonna get married, worried about all the stuff that you ain't got nothing to worry about. You gonna miss out on being in that good ground, because the ground is how you prepare yourself. Like ground is like it's jobs now that you can test. Well, it's been like this, but you can test. They test the ground before they build on it. These people get paid. They get paid so much money, but they're testing the ground. But it's certain chemicals and certain things in the earth that make ground good enough to either build on, plant with, different stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if we put the right stuff in our bodies, like, it really ain't necessary about food, but that goes into it too. But putting this stuff in there, you put yourself into the form of good ground. So when you get these seeds, you're able to produce a harvest.
Definitely. And pain is associated with growth. Like they're hand in hand. They go hand in hand. So if you want to grow or increase, right? Growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or increase financially, whatever, go up. Like if you're trying to go up or change, pain is associated with that. I think TD Jakes, he does a really great job in his sermon. I don't know if he did a sermon series called Crushing, but he did make a book called Crushing. And he goes through the whole process of how grapes turn into wine, and how, you know, the pruning and the crushing of the grapes, right? And then the fermenting, and then, you know, they turn into this really great product at the end. And of course, when you think of like a diamond, right? Like diamonds, you don't find them really cute and cut like, you know, wedding rings. Like they're found really looking really crazy, right? But then they have to go in that fire, and I believe become pure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, and then they're cut really nicely for us, and then now, you know, they're a girl's best friend, like they say. but yeah, so you got to be put through that fire, you know. And this might be a fire season that you're going through, but just know that it's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's riches on the other side, or it just might be growth and happiness and joy on the other side. But all of that is worth way more than a dollar amount.
Amen. Amen. True. I appreciate you for coming on here and giving us your wisdom. You feel me?
Yes, fun.
We was able to, you feel me? Like we done touched a couple different topics. We're gonna be able to touch some souls, bring some people to Christ.
Ideally.
God is my source podcast, and we bridge the gap between the Bible and the current state of the culture. And we just want to save people, get people saved, help people identify their purpose, help people identify their gifts so they can walk in that purpose. We appreciate Kaylyn for coming on, talking with us today. Did you have anything else you want to say to the people?
It's just been so much fun. Thank you so much for listening to me, listening to him, and tuning into this podcast. God is the source. And of course, God is the source, and I love him so, so dearly. And hopefully we just did our due diligence in talking about him in the way he wants to be spoken of. Of course, I do a little bit more talking about him on my podcast, Godly Grind. So please check that out. It's on all the podcasting platforms, and it's also on YouTube if you want to see me and how I switch up my wigs and stuff. You can follow the collective at Kren Collective, KREN Collective. And of course, we talk about God, fashion, art, beauty, and community. I do a lot of fun things over there. So, you know, we do vlogs. You know, I just went to New York Fashion Week, so that was super fun. And of course, we dig deep on, you know, how God is enriching my life and how he can help you with yours. So I love you, and I thank you. And I want to thank you too so much. Thank you so much for having me on. It was so much fun. And just let me know whenever you want me back on, you know, we can kick it again.
Yeah, we can. You feel me? Like we can get you back on. I'm gonna start getting in person in a minute. I'm gonna start hopping around. I'm about to do this world tour so we can be able to connect with people of all walks of life. They do all type of different things. People do all, like, your gift will make room for you, bring you before great men. And we got to really understand that. Once we understand that, we're going to be able to walk in that purpose. It's going to lead us to whatever wealth God has for us. But we got to understand that my wealth, not your wealth not my wealth. We can't covet. That's law 10. Don't covet your neighbor's nothing. Don't be coveting. That's how you're going to start doing all the rest of the 9, trying to validate and be like, Well, I mean, I just really want a nice house. If God would have gave me a nice house, I wouldn't have to steal, rob, destroy. That don't make sense. So we got to get out of that. And this is how we going to do it. We're going to put God first. Trust God as our source. So we appreciate Kaylyn for coming on. Make sure y'all follow her. Make sure y'all connect with her. Feel me? She's a wonderful soul. She got a lot going on, and she can help y'all a lot. So we want to ask you as we close out, could you close us out in prayer?
Yes. Okay, bow your heads and close your eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much just for being who you are. Thank you for being love. Thank you for being power. Thank you for being our protection. Thank you for your continuous love and your grace and your mercy, God. Thank you so much for sending Jesus here to die on the cross to pay for our sins. That is a clear indication of your love. And we want to thank you for that. Thank you for giving us all a purpose and a calling to fulfill here on earth. God, please allow us all to find that purpose that will then help the next person. Keep us safe in our day-to-day actions, in our day-to-day walks, and in our day-to-day lives. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, this I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank y'all for logging on to the God's My Source podcast, and we'll see y'all again next time.